Hey everyone, it's Kai from Cool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the Hot Toys MMS459 Leia Organa from The Last Jedi. For all your 1/6 scale figures and more, click the link in the description below to head on over to Sideshow Collectibles. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, most people know that I absolutely hated The Last Jedi. I walked out of that movie so pissed off. But because I have the old Han Solo and old Luke Skywalker figures from The Force Awakens, they didn't release an old Leia figure from that movie, but they did it for The Last Jedi. So just for my OCD and for completeness in having at least the last version of these characters in their movies, I decided to get this figure. And overall, I think Hot Toys has done another fantastic job with the likeness and so on. But we'll get to that shortly. As you can see, the packaging is the usual Hot Toys style with the front artwork there and the nice big cardboard insert with that sort of artwork. And you can sort of get a feel for the differences or the slight differences in the prototype version that you see there and the final production. But I'll point out where I think some of the differences have been made. So I'll just get the packaging out of the way and get straight into the accessories. It doesn't come with too much at all. As you can see here, she does come with a little blaster rifle, which I think is just a repaint, I think, of the one that she had from A New Hope. And it does have a bit more weathering. I think there is this silver paint highlighting at the front here, but I will try and pull out the A New Hope and Hoth versions after this to give you guys a quick comparison. But overall, the blaster rifle is not too bad. It does come with this tiny little bracelet. The instructions tell you to take off the left hand and put that on. I probably won't even bother, to be honest. I can't even remember seeing this in the movie. I'll probably have to go back to the Blu-ray to have a look. It does look pretty delicate putting it on, and I don't think I'll bother. Comes with 3 swap out hands in addition to the 2 that she comes with by default. So you get 2 of the resting hands that you see there, and then a more of a wide, maybe posing hand or a force push hand. And I guess some people might pose her up in that ridiculous Mary Poppins or Superman type force pull push, whatever you want to call it, pose. The ring design is pretty nice, and you can sort of get the feel for the veins and so on in their paint application. So Hot Toys always does a pretty good job with their hands and their skin texture. Similarly for the gun holding hand, and I think this is just the sort of chin in hand or thought thinking sort of pose. And again, I might use this one actually, but we'll see how I can pose her up. But let's get on to the figure. I did forget to mention that she also comes with this stand. I think this is the design for the Last Jedi figures. It does have a nice sort of chromed finish on that and the front part. But I would have actually preferred just a simple black oval stand, to be honest, with just a simple nameplate. But overall, not too bad. But now onto the figure. Alright, let's start up top with the head sculpt, and I think Hot Toys has done another fantastic job. The initial photos that we saw in hand and from the bloggers, I actually thought there was a bit of a zombie-like stare to her, but in hand I think it's really good. The eyes don't look as dark as I remember in some of the photos. I think the only thing that Hot Toys probably lacked in the final production version is some of the wrinkling detail that was in the prototype, particularly around her chin and her mouth area. From recollection from the movie, she did have a few more wrinkles around, so they've sort of given her a much smoother skin texture, but I guess in the scheme of things that's not too bad. I think the other thing that they always seem to change with their hair sculpts is not have enough of the grey detailing. So similar to the old Han and old Luke figures, the hair almost had a bronze tinge to those ones. This one doesn't really have a bronze tinge to it. It does have a nice sort of brown greyish finish, but I think some of the grey highlights that you saw in the prototype through the top here and through the sideburn areas and so on. They really could have added a bit more of that grey to make that stand out. But as always, Hot Toys does a fantastic job with their stranding in the hair. There is no one better in the 1/6 world, I think, than Hot Toys with their stranding. Just the level of detailing with all that sculpting there around the bottom area here. I'm glad they didn't try to do anything along the lines of rooted hair with that sort of design, but the fine stranding is where they really excel, whereas the likes of Azimuth and Sideshow, etc., their stranding is a lot more thicker and clay-like, whereas this is much more detailed. And as always, the glassiness in the eyes, the redness in the lips, and even in this case the earrings here really do stand out. So I think overall they've done a fantastic job with the head sculpt. With the outfit, just give you a quick up and down on that. I think the blue gown underneath itself is a really nice thin, soft material. This outer cloak, I'm not sure if it's going to be a very similar material to what they used for the Emperor Palpatine. I'm hoping it's not, because it looks nice with that sort of fine speckling and reflection on it, but it's pretty coarse, and it doesn't really lay that naturally either. So there is a bit of riding up here on the shoulders. I'm not sure how I'm going to sort of push those shoulder pads down so it doesn't look like she has no neck. But I don't know if a bit of water treatment might help that. But it does sort of ride up a little bit there, and it just has a sort of a thick and coarse feel to it. I think there is a wire at the bottom here, and maybe even along the sides. I think there is a small wire, so you can sort of pose it out like I was just doing there. But I think there's a little bit of play, so you can sort of futz it around to your liking. It's fully one piece, so the back of it, the stitching is pretty nice. So if I showed you that, you'd probably mistake it for Palpatine, to be honest. But from the front, her arms just sort of fit through these holes at the front here. So I wouldn't recommend removing it or anything like that, but just futz around with it to see if it can lay a little bit more naturally. But as I was saying, the blue gown underneath is a nice soft material. I do like the way they've done the plaits there, and holding it all together with that sort of belt there. So I think that's really nicely done. Straight out of the box, the figure does have a couple of pieces of plastic around the neck and the lower neck area. The one directly around the neck is easy to remove. Just pop the head off and you can remove that. But around the the lower neck and chest area, I think that whole plastic piece wraps around the body. So I didn't even bother trying to pull that out. I used a small pair of scissors and cut the top part off and just folded the rest of it down to hide it away. Otherwise it is a bit of a pain in the ass to try and get out. So the outfit, I think you can see if you lift up this area here, you can see her shoes. If I can just get everything out of the way here. So they are sculpted shoes, so she doesn't have any pants on or anything like that. There is a bit of ankle rocking motion slightly, so you can get her feet at least flat on the ground, but there isn't too much play, and it is quite hard for her to stand without the support of the base. There's not much for her to balance on. I might give it a try again later, but I was trying before and she kept toppling over, so just be aware of that. And of course, for those wondering, she does have a pair of undies on. But that's pretty much it from the outfit perspective and from the figure. So overall, it's a fairly simple release from Hot Toys, but as always, they do it. The simple figures they do extremely well, and some of the detailing, that little gauntlet thing on the side there, and so on. It's the little details that they do really well, and I think they've done that again for this one. So I might just finish off by getting the other two Leia figures I have. I was going to get the Han Solo and Luke figures down from way up high on my cabinet there, but that is too much of a pain in the ass for me, so I might do that later. So tune into the Facebook page and the Instagram account to see the upcoming photos, but I'll just grab the 2 Leia figures and give you guys a look at those. Hold on. Alright, so here are the 3 Princess Leia figures that I have in the collection so far, with the Hoth on the left and the A New Hope version on the right. So displayed together, I think they do look pretty damn good. I don't think I'll end up getting the recently announced Bespin version. I'll probably try and get at least one from every movie. So hopefully they do release one from Return of the Jedi. I doubt they'll release the bikini version, based on what I've heard on Disney's decision. But hopefully if they do an Endor version or something like that, then I might go with that version. But as you can see, the various transitions of her from the young to the more mature on the left, and then to this in The Last Jedi. I think Hot Toys have done a pretty fantastic job. The scale is in fitting with all of them, and those costumes, I guess, in the scheme of things, are pretty iconic. So I am pretty happy that I ended up getting this figure. Hopefully you can click that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned to the Facebook page as well for some more photos with Han and Luke. But hopefully you like that look at this new Leia Organa figure. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.